Welcome back to ALPB Roundup, and yes, it is report card time. We're 30% of the way through this campaign, so it is time for the third report card of the year. We're going to have to jump right in here because we got a lot to cover, as always, giving out these grades, and just like always, I'm randomly picking who we're going with, and this time we are starting with Charleston. The Dirty Birds are 17-23 and are 4-6 in their last 10. They're 11 games behind the Rockers in the South Division. Now, their pitching has been improving, and I think they're definitely a top half pitching staff right now. They're led by Kit Sheets and Stephen Chambly, and a couple of newer additions. Now, keep an eye on Kit Sheets. Might not hang around very long the way he's been tossing the ball around, but we'll keep thinking, for now, optimistically, they got the guy. Unfortunately, they seem to have an offense that's like firmly second worst in the league at this point. 89 OPS plus. They've only got about 3 starters above league average. So offensively, the pitching can be there day to day, but offensively not always. So they need everything to match up if they're going to get it going. They're about to start an extremely difficult stretch of Gastonia, Southern Maryland, Gastonia again, High Point, and then Gastonia again over the next 15 games. The only 3 ALPB teams with winning records, by the way. And this is actually in the middle of a 52-game stretch where they're playing those 3 teams 40 times. So we have a pretty good idea of who this team is. Unfortunately, that's not always a good thing. Their first report card was a B, then it was a C+, and this time around, I'm going to have to give them a C. They're just not improving quickly enough, and I think we're finding that they are truly a middle-of-the-pack team in this league right now. On to Lexington, where the Legends are the surprise disappointment of the season thus far. Currently, they're at the bottom of the South Division with a 14-23 record, and they've lost 15 of their last 21 games. The pitching 73 ERA plus is third worst in the league, which isn't entirely surprising, but the offense is also third worst in the league at this point, and that is shocking after their record-shattering performance in 2021. They're scoring about 4 runs a game over the past few weeks, and they've been held to 2 or fewer hits, like 4, maybe 5 times at this point. Lexington still looks like a team that could threaten for a playoff run if their pitching staff holds solid and the impressive campaign of Courtney Hawkins continues and gets some support and better output from like Tillman Pugh, Boog Powell, maybe Phillip Irvin in there, Blake Swihart if he can get it going. I mean, he has moments, but they might need to make some additions, make some moves. They do, I think, still have the contract rights to Rodani Valdespin as he recovers from an injury, so keep an eye on that. But for now, I need to drop them finally from that C to a D+ for this third report card of the year. Moving on to Lancaster here, the Barnstormers sit 13 games back in the North Division with a 17-23 record, having lost 7 of their last 10. Now, before dropping their last 4 games and 7 of their last 9, the Barnstormers appeared to be heading in the right direction, having won 11 out of 16, but unfortunately, that momentum has disappeared over the past week and a half. Lancaster's offense and pitching both sit right around league average, and they're probably a couple games better than their record would indicate. Kelly Dugan, he's been playing out of his mind right now, and they just added Trayvon Robinson. He re-signed with the team. That's a good addition for them. But their bullpen, they have 5 or 6 really good arms that can really operate well in high leverage situations on any given day. But the rotation makes it difficult to reach them because it's a well below average rotation for this league. They're 3-13 against teams above 500 right now, including 0-6 against their division leader, the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. That's telling us this team isn't quite ready to compete in their current form. They're going to need some more starting rotation help if they want to do that. I improved their grade, their D grade on the first report card all the way to a B- last time, but now I do need to settle the Barnstormers back a little bit to a C+. Looking at Southern Maryland, the Blue Crabs hold the league's best record at 30-10, and they sit 10.5 games up in the North Division. After dropping 5 of 6, the Blue Crabs have bounced back to win 7 of their last 8 games. Their offense led by Ryan Hogg, who has been hit by 16 pitches already. Leave the man alone. Joe DeLuca and Austin Ray, they're top 3 in the league for sure. The same can be said for their pitching, led by a strong top half of the rotation, multiple great high leverage arms in the bullpen. It's a well put together roster altogether. With a large lead in the North and only 3 weeks left in the first half, Southern Maryland, they're in a very good spot here, probably the best one they could possibly hope to be in at this point. I've given them an A on both prior report cards and see no reason to change that now. It'll be another A for the Southern Maryland Blue Crabs. On to the Genomes. The Genomes are nearly a 500 team at 18-19, but they're still 8.5 games behind High Point in the South. While they're improving, a lot of their record has come from beating up on the slumping Legends. If we're honest, they're 9-3 against the Legends, which means only 9-16 against the rest of the league. A lot of improvement has come from their offense, which is now in the top half of the league. They were the worst in the league to start, but now they are in the top half of the league thanks to guys like Will Decker, Moises Sierra, and Jimmy Paredes. But they still just have one of the worst pitching staffs in the league right now, making it difficult to gain momentum. For example, they had a string of wins off of playing the Legends coming, and then they go to York. They go up 24 runs in 16 innings on Friday and Saturday, and they drop 2 out of 3 to the Rebs, who they should be able to beat. While they are improving, there's just a lot of progress left to make. I improved them from a C- to a C on their first two report cards. I'll improve them again to a C+. They're kind of, slowly crawling up here, improving C- to a C to a C+. But we'll look at Gastonia, a team who are 27-13 right now, just a game behind the High Point Rockers in the South. They were 4 games behind the Rockers heading into the weekend before dropping a 3-game sweep on them to shrink that gap. They're led by Joseph Rosa and Jack Reinheimer offensively. They're probably the third best offense in the league right now at this point, but the surprise continues to be their pitching. After a dismal season last year, they now have the second best pitching staff in the league with a terrific 138 ERA+. They held the Rockers just 10 runs over the last 3 games they played this weekend. I think Gastonia has shown themselves to be a serious contender in this league, and they could hang around all year long. I'm not quite ready to bring them back to the A grade that I gave them on their first report card, but I will improve them from a B to a B+ this time around. Looking at York, the Revolution are 16-24. That's 14 games back in the North, but they have managed to split their last 10 games 5-5. The Revs offense, they continue to improve here, but definitely in the top half of offense in the league. I'll say that at this point. Only a couple stars, but it's a solid lineup, like 1 through 7 most nights. That's a good thing to see for the Revs. Their pitching is improving, but I would still say they're one of the bottom 3 pitching staffs in the league with the 2 teams from Lexington. Much like the Genomes, that makes it tough to build momentum and holds York back as they try to climb up these standings now. While I improved York from a D to a C on their last report card, I don't really see a reason to move them again, so I'm going to give York another C on this report card. Checking in on the New York teams now. Long Island, the Ducks are 19-20, 10.5 games behind the Blue Crabs in the North. After being swept in 4 games by Gastonia, they bounced back to sweep them in 3 games in Gastonia, and then took 2 out of 3 from Staten Island this weekend. Long Island's offense and pitching are about league average, which I'd argue is okay for a team with a track record of making good mid-season additions. I'd still expect Long Island to compete for a playoff spot despite their slow start. If, before the season you told them that the difficulties that they would run into in these first 40 games, and then you told them that, they'd be about 500, I think they'd be happy with that, honestly. Sure, they're probably out of it for the first half year, but I think they're positioning themselves well for a second half battle. With that said, I gave Long Island a C on their first 2 report cards, but I will actually bump that up slightly on this one to a B- as they really seem to kind of be finding themselves, remembering who they are, and they'll probably make a good run here. Staten Island, though, they still have the worst record in the league at 10-29. They've won 4 of 10 and actually won their first road game, now sitting at 1-17 on the road, which is terrible, yeah, but on the flip side, they're 9-12 at home, which isn't bad. In fact, it's about average. I mean, for the team they are, it's maybe even above average to say that they've won that many games at home, but I digress. Their pitching continues to hover around league average with the looming question of where the hell is Julio Teheran? He hasn't thrown in a while. Is he injured and hasn't been reported on? Is he, taking some personal time? Has he left the team? I mean, Kevin Krause left the team. Reimer Liriano, he left the team for the American Association, but I didn't see anybody get sent back, so that's a questionable scenario there. It'll be interesting to see what the deal is with Julio Teheran here and see if he gets back on the bump for the FerryHawks, because he was showing out while he was there. The offense is still a problem. I mean, it's a 66 OPS plus. Get this, it's a 66 OPS plus. 100 is the average. It's the worst in the league. The second worst in the league is an 89. Scoring 4.9 runs per game in wins, 2.7 runs per game in losses. That seems like it's probably the difference. They are starting to win close games, but they're still a long way off from being a competitive team in this league. With that said, for the first time, I am not giving Staten Island an F. I will improve them to a D for Staten Island. Congratulations, FerryHawks. Welcome to the party. Finally, the last team, we're talking about the High Point Rockers. They led the South by 1 game with a 28-12 record. While their pitching has been gutted by guys getting signed away and Cooper Casad being injured, they are still, I think, the top pitching staff in the league right now. I also still feel this is the top offense in the league, with guys like Ben Klinsky, Quincy Lattimore, and Jerry Downs, just to name a few, getting it done on most nights. However, I do think their spot at the top of the league for both sides of the ball is in danger. I'm giving them back the A that I downgraded to an A- on their second report card. But that speaks a bit more to how they have been up until getting swept by Gastonia, which could be the red flag of something coming around the corner for them. High Point really needs to show what they're made of this next weekend coming up against Gastonia again, trying to hold on to that division lead and see if they can hold that grade plus that spot in the standings. To recap, though, the Rockers and the Blue Crabs both get A's. Then the Honey Hunters get a B+, and the Ducks get a B-. After that, it's the Genomes with a C+, and the Dirty Birds, Barnstormers, and Revolution with C's. Finally, the Legends get a D+, and the FerryHawks get a D. Looking ahead to this week, moving on from report cards, the FerryHawks head to Lancaster. The Legends have a very difficult series with Southern Maryland. The Honey Hunters hit the road to take on Charleston. The Revolution try to keep climbing in the standings against Long Island, and the Rockers look to expand their division lead on the road against the Genomes. That was a long video. We talked about a lot of things. Report card day is always a tough one, but we got plenty of good action to talk about this week. I'll probably be doing daily recaps on the Instagram account, so make sure you follow ALPB Roundup on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. I'm in a bit of a battle with the American Association right now because they decided to wake up and choose violence. I'm always down to party, so you can keep an eye on that one going on the Twitter account. But until then, keep it locked in with ALPB Roundup. We'll have all the Atlantic League news. I'm Ryan, and y'all have a good one.